This is the center panel and it is all ready to trim. So you saw on video with me talking you through it how we got this petal or this particular flower with the petals added, and you should be able to have seen Cass adding this petal or these petals and the petals to this flower. So on this one we gathered up the petals and put them in a ring. I actually love how this one turned out. It's actually quite a lot softer with those gentle gathers in it. This one we had 2 sets of petals. So this is the 5 petal flower, but we actually had 2 sets, i.e. 10 petals, and we did some overlapping on them. I think this actually looks fabulous. We also alternated. I did 5 petals with a pink detail stitch and 5 with a purple detail stitch, and we've got those alternating going around. I love how this one is extra fluffy, so you could do double up on the petals for any one of these flowers and it would look absolutely gorgeous. So having these 3D elements on the quilt makes trimming it a little bit on the different side, because you can't just put your ruler down on the top and do it. So let's figure this out together. Now, whichever quilt you're making, the center panel is going to be 18 inches wide, 18.5 inches wide, plus or minus your little bit to match it up exactly with your flying geese panels. So we're going to go with the 18.5 inches first, and I'm going to measure it from the vase, and whichever vase you've got, you actually have a really well defined center line to the vase, this one, and points on the tall one. So we can measure at least this much of the quilt from the center. So 18.5, half of that is 9.25, so we want the 9.25 line on the center line, and we can actually use the candle wicking stitches on the top and bottom of the vase to get that really exact, and then you'll see that you've got halfway through the center line here. If you're stitching the tall vase, then you've got a very clearly defined point line coming down the center. So 9.25 inches from the center, and we are literally going to trim just that little bit there. Now then, how are we going to do the rest of it, you might be asking, because we can't put the ruler on more than that. So let's see, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5 inches. I actually have a 2.5 inch wide ruler, and so I'm going to use that. The question is, how do I get it straight coming along here? The easiest thing, hang tight one moment, I do actually have a 3.5 inch wide ruler as well. Either way, either one works. This guy is just a little bit longer. If I put this ruler right up against that cut edge, then I can put this ruler up against this ruler, and I can scoot it along, so I can be pretty confident that I've actually got a nice straight line here. So I can continue that cut all the way off to the top, only I went off the top of the cutting mat, never mind. So that is the one side. Then we want to measure this way around. I'm actually going to, let's see, we want to cut this side. I'm going to orient the quilt like this so that I've got the most amount to cut that I can do from 18.5 inches here. Make sure that's nice and straight so that I can get this 18.5 inches. Now, if I actually move that on, I've got the 18.5 inches there. I can do that cut. I can also put this ruler on here and do this cut. So let's just get this top bit cut first. And whilst that is still in position, that one is too fat to go there, but I can put this ruler here and I can use the marks to make sure it's nicely aligned, butt it right up against there so that I've got a really good cut down there. Now the test then becomes, did I truly get my 18.5 inches all the way across? And I'm going to say yes, that is pretty good going. Okay, so now for the bottom, and we've got a little bit of leeway down here in terms of figuring out where we want to cut this. Let's see, we've got a good 1/4 inch seam allowance between the edge of the quilting. Actually, we've probably got more like about 3/8. So if this ruler, if I measure 3/8 from the bottom edge of the quilting all the way along, then, and also make sure that I am level with the sides. That's actually pretty important so that we end up with a square quilt or square on the bottom here. And we really want to be as straight as possible as we can across the bottom. I'm gonna go with that. So I'm kind of guesstimating along here, but as long as I am square on both of the sides, I'm good with however that winds up. So next up, we want to do 22.5 inches on this guy, 28.5 inches on the bigger guy. So I'm simply going to measure 22.5 inches as far in as I can go using this ruler, making sure that I've got 22.5 inches down here and I'm straight all the way along here. I'm going to cut that part. We'll do the same thing here, and you can always butt the ruler up underneath the petals. So we're going to go 22.5. Make sure that we've got a straight line going all the way down there. When it's there, it's kind of wanting to push it away, so let's scoot it out just a little bit. We've got 22.5 there. And now I can use one of these rulers to kind of connect the cuts across the top. Okay, so this now needs to be trimmed up to be an exact match for the flying geese units. It really doesn't matter. I don't think anybody's going to know if you just trim one side and maybe the top to take that extra little bit off if you need to. Otherwise, there you are with your beautifully trimmed center and all of the other units that you need.